Here guys, here's my buddy. He's a big Star Wars fan, and the new Bad Batch is coming out. He hasn't seen the original Bad Batch, so we're actually gonna go back and watch the original Bad Batch. Excited?
Yeah, I mean, it makes me feel like a terrible Star Wars fan that I haven't watched it yet.
I'm a soldier, like you!
So let's get into it and see how good it is.
Yeah, it's really good. It has some really key Star Wars moments. You gotta check these out.
Nothing. Galactic Empire.
Ooh.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. So, what did you think of the first episode of Bad Batch?
It was really intense. I mean, there were some really good scenes there, some interesting lore adding to the Star Wars universe, and I'm excited to keep digging into it.
Yeah, I mean, it takes off right after Order 66.
It was really cool. That part of it was really interesting. It was really interesting to see how the 5 main characters were able to resist their programming and their reaction to what was going on around them.
Yeah, all the events from after Order 66, that ended at a really kind of intense moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So right after that, I want to figure out what's going on. This is like the beginning of Vader time.
He's more machine now than man.
The beginning of the Empire.
The beginning of the Empire and the death of the Republic.
So let me ask you this. What was your favorite part of the episode?
My favorite part of the episode, actually the very end of it, right? Crosshair is still kind of lost in the Empire, and his mind is lost in that kind of darkness. They have that epic showdown at the end, you know?
It was a big fight. Seeing how the different characters develop their personalities, what they bring to the team, and Crosshair's ultimate betrayal, even though it wasn't necessarily his fault, he was just following programming, I found to be quite interesting. And it'll be interesting to see where they go with that character. Yeah.
I find it a good story arc where the loss of their brother, he's not like them. He changes.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, they change actually. And he still remains the same part of the Empire.
And it'll be interesting to see how that affects them as the series develops. And it was awesome to see Saw Gerrera. I mean, who doesn't like Saw Gerrera?
Right, that was a good moment there too, right? That's where you could see Hunter he had to choose a path, either to stay with Empire or to become their own entity.
And I think that was the moment, like you said, where they decided to become their own entity, their own team.
Yeah.
To spurn everything. So.
And no better person to meet than Saw Gerrera himself, because he's kind of like that for the Republic, right? He's
Absolutely
different and acts different. So he meets another group of the Empire that acts and behaves different, and tries to curse them across.
And one of the founding members of the rebellion, so it's going to be quite interesting to see where they go with him as well.
No, yeah, and you get to see him way earlier in the Clone Wars. Now you get to see another little stage of him. He's another one of those well-developed characters. You actually see him throughout all the series.
Yeah, the more they show, the better of a character he becomes. So it'll be exciting. Yeah, it's going to be really neat to see what happens with Omega too, because she's an enigma at this point. So it'll be interesting to see what the background is, or what the plan behind that was, or why they made her in the first place. So.
Yeah, what do you think of Omega?
I thought she was an interesting character. Kids are always kind of a little bit weird depending on how they do things, but I mean, Dave Filoni has a tendency to make some really good characters from kids going into adult. I mean, look at Ahsoka. So,
He likes to make a character that changes throughout the series. I don't think Omega's meant to be one of those characters. I think it's meant to be Crosshair. He's done that one where he got this annoying character. I think a lot of people think Omega was supposed to be that character, but I don't find her very annoying. She's not that bad.
Well, we'll have to find out as soon as the next episodes develop. As I watch more.
Yeah. A lot of people don't like Omega.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I saw her like maybe it was like an early Ahsoka where she was just kind of annoying. I'm unlikable, but I don't know. I think she's perfectly fine.
Maybe some of the problem is that she seems. It goes back to that trope that Disney has been going for a lot lately, where they seem to take female characters and make them strong without real development, and maybe that's where that problem is. But again, without seeing more of her, I won't be able to tell. I mean, at this point, she's only made one really good shot, and that's about all she's done.
Yeah, and she climbed in a hole.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah,
but she did save the Bad Batch 2 times in that one episode.
That
right?
is true. That is true.
She kind of solidified her position there in the group.
Yeah, among the team.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited to see where that goes, and I always like a character with a bit of mystery surrounding them, and I think that's the part I like about Omega that I think is probably a little bit underrated, is we don't know why she was created as of yet. Maybe we find out later on. Again, sorry, first episode, but
Right.
as the series develops, I'm sure there's going to be some reasoning behind that, and that part is what Star Wars is about, is just mysteries and finding out why certain things are the way, or speculating. So
Yeah,
I'm really excited to continue that adventure and see where that goes.
yeah, and I think she's going to be part of the arc that really explains how Palpatine returns, and yeah, it's going to be fairly interesting. And
Yeah.
you see what actually makes her special, because nobody really.
Well, I think that's probably, I mean, that would be the ultimate pull-off. If they could somehow make the last 3 movies interesting by tying all these shows together, that would be the ultimate miracle for Disney right there.
Well, I love how they do that, and how these shows tie everything together, and I think this is important.
Well, and that's what happened with the prequel trilogy, right? I mean, it started out, everyone hated it. There was a lot of annoying things. The plot was a little bit dicey, but then you introduce the Clone Wars, and it explains it. It fills in the gaps, and it makes the Clone Wars the original prequel trilogy that much better.
Yeah.
And now everybody loves it. So
Right?
a lot of people, anyways.
Yeah.
I'm sure it still has its haters.
No, yeah, without the Clone Wars, the prequels they're very
Not
good
as-
movies.
yeah.
They're not as good.
Not
Yeah,
nearly as good.
Yeah, and
So.
then to understand what's going on after Order 66, I think is probably one of the most interesting Star Wars there is, because that's like the biggest change, you know. Yeah, the
100%.
Jedi Order gets dismantled, and these are the biggest changes, the biggest momentum changes in Star Wars. You don't even get to see it before. Bad Batch is covering it.
Well, and to see the perspective from somebody other than a Jedi or a Sith or whatever is just very interesting.
Yeah.
What did what we consider the common man? What happened to their lives when all this took place, and what happened to the people of the Republic, and how did they respond? So I think this series is going to do a really good job. So to show us the other side of the coin. So I'm excited to continue watching it and see where it goes.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, it's not all Jedi and Sith. It's Stormtroopers changing, and I really think that's interesting.
I agree.
What happens with the Stormtroopers and all that? Because
It
they're
is.
good characters.
Well, it's nice to see this to develop just outside of the big names like Vader and Luke and all those. It's nice to see some other characters start coming around and getting some screen time and seeing some.
So some people like to compare the Bad Batch to the Ninja Turtles. They say Hunter is the Leonardo, Tech he's the Donatello, and Wrecker he's the Raphael.
He was Master Splinter.
Well, I don't know. Like the Master Splinter, he'd be the one that teaches them all, but I don't think they have it. I don't think it is a good comparison.
No, I don't
Right.
think so either. I
No.
don't think that's really a fair comparison.
No, I think it kind of like who would be the Michelangelo?
You know what's kind of funny about that too? It takes away from the primary message of individuality that the show's trying to bring about, because they're trying to be their own individuals, and everyone's trying to group them into the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, I don't think it really works out. You know,
No.
like Echo isn't a very good Michelangelo. I would say maybe Wrecker is a combination of the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think, I mean, if you wanted, Michelangelo was kind of the more fun-loving guy, and I guess you could say Wrecker is kind of fun-loving, but Michelangelo was intelligent, and that's a whole other discussion. I think he was just a little bit immature, but not
That's what I'm
lacking.
saying. That's why it doesn't match.
Yeah.
Wrecker's a combination of Raphael and Michelangelo.
Yeah.
Donatello's Tech and Leonardo is Hunter. But
But you also had
Echo.
between Echo and Tech, they had that kind of intelligent tech dynamic together, not separated too, right?
Yeah,
So they were. It's kind of interesting that they went that way, and that is kind of a trope that you see in a lot of these sci-fi series, where they always have the smart ones, the big dumb ones, you know. But it goes back to the old. I mean, if you wanted to compare something, it would be more like a Dungeons and Dragons RPG party, right? You have your tank, you have your brains, you have your dexterity, all of that stuff. So
a character that someone finds relatable, the watchers are relatable. Someone's going to find a favorite in the group. Do you have a favorite in the group so far?
That's a good question. You know, honestly, so far, I think it's a little too soon. But I really like Hunter. But I mean, I enjoy leadership and seeing how certain people step up and lead teams. I always find that fascinating and interesting.
I like Crosshair so far.
Oh yeah.
Because he's the most complex character, right?
That's fair.
And unpredictable. You have no idea what he's really thinking, right? And he's the most turmoil. He deals with the most turmoil in his head. Hunter at least knows what he's going to do.
That's fair, but it'll be interesting to see how Crosshair's trail affects Hunter, because he seems like he takes responsibility for each member of the team.
Yeah.
And I really liked how he when Crosshair was starting to deviate from the plan, he tried his best not to completely alienate him from the group, but listen to his feedback and then and respond. Right, so it was quite interesting.
I like that about the first episode too.
Yeah,
because you develop and like these characters, you have a separation, and now they're the plot. You have a journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have these two that need to come together somehow, some way.
Exactly. So I'm looking forward to episode 2. How about you? Well, you've already seen it.
Yeah, for sure.